Welcome to Do Whatever You Think Whatever You Do, Episode 3. Today, my co-host is Mr. Sean Cardenas. He is a cycle instructor, an avid cyclist, a yoga instructor, and an English teacher. Sean, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Sorry for the left hand.
I got the left hand to you as well.
All right.
That's a long list of stuff you have to say about me. I apologize for that.
That's
Yeah?
awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So, I mean, you already pretty much gave my bio, but yep, I'm a English teacher, high school English for the past 15 years in Albertson.
Okay.
I work in a gym where I teach cycle and yoga. You're one of my favorite students in class.
Yeah.
And yeah, I lead a pretty active life. I love cycling with my wife as well as with a group in my community. And yeah, I'm super excited about being here today and talking to you.
All right, cool. So real quick, I want to touch on the yoga because,
cool.
yes, I take your yoga classes on Wednesdays. Tell us a little bit about yoga. How'd you get into it?
It's a funny story, to be honest with you. So you already mentioned that I was a avid cyclist and a cycle instructor, and that's pretty much how I found the gym where I work now.
Okay.
And I had a student. Her name was Victoria. She came to every single one of my classes, and I taught a lot of classes before the pandemic.
Okay.
And she would always say to me, "Listen, you have time in between your classes. Come with me to yoga." I'm like, "No, I'm not going in there. I don't do yoga. Yoga's strange. It's weird. It's not for me."
Yeah.
And you know, you'll notice here I might be fidgeting a little bit. I love to move.
Yes.
So when I thought about
I'm
yoga,
similar.
I always thought that it was like being still. Being quiet. and don't get me wrong, there are many different types of yoga.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the type of yoga that I found that I could sell, that's how much it's a part of my life, is flow, vinyasa. And it is so different. It is a class that ultimately I ended up in because she said, "If you don't come with me to class today, I'm never coming to your cycle class again." So I went to yoga, and now if you ask her, I never left her alone after that. The next day, are we going to yoga? Are we going to yoga? Are we going to yoga? And not too long after that, one of my yoga instructors and a great friend said, "You need to become an instructor." But as you've already stated, the number of things that I do for a living, it's obviously because I need to make ends meet. And to become a yoga instructor is pretty expensive.
It is.
But they made it possible for me to do so.
Nice.
They spread out the payments, and I did it. And right after I finished it, that instructor that was helping me out gave me my first class.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So it was literally as if as soon as I finished the program, I immediately put it into practice. And it's been a long journey. I actually look back before this podcast because, you know, with the pandemic, you sort of get a little confused with years.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until the January of 2019 is when I became certified.
Okay.
And I started teaching right away. So I've been teaching for a little over 5 years now, 5.5 years.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's been a journey like anything else.
Yeah.
But what I like the most about it is that it's a place where, one, people could come together.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it's more than just exercise.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody could exercise. But this is more, it's something that I've heard before that I like to share is it's a work in instead of a workout.
Yeah.
Like if we think
like
about
that.
the beginning of practice, we start in stillness with eyes closed, and we're really just allowing ourselves to check in to see how we're feeling, right? Because some days we might be saying this is going to be a day that we set a new record, and other days are going to see if we can get through the practice,
Yeah.
right? And it's important for us to check in with that and to be true to yourself,
Yes.
right? Because very often, like in cycle class, for example, let's say if I felt checked out, but you were sitting next to me,
Yes.
I would give an effort that my mind and body didn't want to do because you were there.
Yes.
Yoga's very different. Yoga, you might see me and say, "Lay down, take it easy right now."
Yeah.
It's more, and I'm not saying that cycling isn't community based because it is, but I think that there's just something different about yoga that allows people to not be competitive. It's more about building each other up. And I know that before this started, we were sort of talking about tribes and how people come together. But I think that is one of the aspects that I really gravitate towards, as well as just the mindfulness aspect.
Yeah.
You know, so often, you know, especially here in New York, I was speaking to somebody earlier about some time that I spent in Rhode Island and how people would like wave you across the street.
Yeah.
Here, they'll run you over, right? They will run you over on a bicycle. There, they're like stopping. Please get where you're going.
Yeah.
Right? So we really need things here to put us at ease.
Yeah.
You know, and so many people, it is such a great feeling for someone to come to me. Like I have a trial attorney who takes my class.
Okay.
He'll go to court with his colleagues and they'll say, what the heck? Like, how are you so calm and relaxed right now? I was at Sean's yoga class.
It's good.
Meanwhile, their backs are up, they're tense,
Visually.
they're making mistakes.
Yeah.
And he's relaxed, he's getting things that he needs to get done, and he's feeling great about himself. So it's just really nice to be a part of something where you see your hard work going into the progress of others.
Yes, definitely.
So that is probably what is the most rewarding about, as well as what it does for myself as
Yourself
well.
as well.
You know, in terms of another thing that was said to me by that same instructor.
Because you still take classes, correct?
Of course.
Okay.
I say it every week, especially when we get to chair pose, right? I do the same thing. Why? Because I'm a student in this class just as much as I'm a teacher. And that's probably something important to remember too, that just because you're an instructor doesn't mean that you're not a student. There's always places to learn. But what this instructor said to me was that, you know, what you really have to do in life is manage your energy, not your time. You know,
Agreed. Agreed.
Do I have to go? And I could explain it a little bit more, but ultimately, you could have all the time in the world to complete a task. But if your energy isn't in the right place to do it, one, you probably won't do it well.
Yep.
Two, you're not going to feel right while doing it. So we really need to start approaching things about how we're feeling, not about the time that we have. Because someone will look at you and say, you have the next 4 hours free, why can't you do it?
Yes.
It has nothing to do with time.
It's just like being committed to what you're doing.
Exactly.
You know?
So ultimately, I think that it's sort of made some things shift in my mind to make life make more sense to me, for lack of a better way to explain it.
Makes sense.
It's so, like, I hate to sound like cliche or corny, but what was said to me before I did the 200-hour training is that this is going to change your life. And I'm like, yeah, this is going to change. It changes your life.
Yeah.
You know, and I said that myself. Yes, I started teaching immediately. Like, they gave me the diploma and I went to teach class.
Yeah.
There are people in our class right now that was in that same YTT as me, and they have the benefit of the life change, but they had no desire to teach.
They just wanted to learn
They
more
wanted
about
to learn,
it. Yeah.
they wanted to deepen their practice and see what was really behind the wall.
I totally understand this.
Yeah, and what I think is incredible, and I know that you've been seeing it too, and this is why I do think the community base is that recently in my class, and I know that you want me to share a clip, hopefully I can share this one, you'll see students in the middle of a flow sequence, and if you're not familiar, basically in a sun-sea sequence, I'll go through 10 to 12 postures twice, and then I'll put on some music, and then you do whatever you remember.
Yeah.
Right? I'll see people in class helping other people because they're stuck in between postures or trying to find handstand or trying to find some other posture. It's 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
People have so many things to do in life, and they're helping you with something in a class that they came to, which you would think would be for themselves.
No,
Right?
yeah,
So
well,
it's
you're
just-
collectively trying to do something together.
So it's absolutely incredible. I always tell people, don't wish your life away, but I certainly do find myself looking forward to every Wednesday.
That's good.
Knowing that there's going to be this group of people so dedicated to each other, to the practice, and to just finding, you know, the other thing I'll say is people think they go to yoga to change themselves. It's not. It's really to find out more about who you are, because you've been going so fast through life that you don't even know what you like. You don't know why you're doing the things that you're doing, if it's really true to who you are. Is it what somebody told you should be doing? Is it what you think you should be doing? So yoga in the beginning and the end of class gives you that time to sort of say, this is my time.
Yeah.
You know, and if we think about, again, just the New York Minute, the type of people that are in class, people with families that are always on the go for others, this is that one moment that they could unplug
For themselves.
for no one
Yeah.
but them.
Yeah. So yeah, because I used to take yoga when I was training for the triathlons and the bodybuilding competitions a lot.
Of course. If you're pushing your body to the limits that way, it's really important to make sure that you
Stretching your back
stretch,
out. Yeah.
spend time in heat, and you also work on mindfulness.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when I used to take it at first, I didn't take, I'm kind of jumping a little bit.
Okay.
My yoga class before wasn't a heated class. And I know this is a little bit cooler, let's say. The temperature is not as hot as Bikram, but explain to us
Yes.
what this.
Yes. So now here's the thing, right? Where at the gym where I work, we have the ability to get up to about 98 or 99 degrees. With
All
the heat.
feels the same
With the heat.
in terms of the heat.
Now, right, with the class size that we've built, we're talking about 103 or 104 degrees based on the body heat of all of the individuals in the room.
Crazy.
I am now opening all of the doors on a regular basis because there are parts of the room where it almost feels as if there's absolutely no air.
Because I'm asking.
At all. Yeah, yeah. But that is so typically, and the other thing about me, and this is, I think, maybe why, other than you, you're the real reason that people come to me. But I think the other thing is that because of my schedule, right, and because of the commitment that I have to the practice, I get there super early to every class that I teach. I set up the room to make sure that it's set for the members coming, that it's welcome.
And for yourself, too.
And for myself.
Yeah.
But what I also do at that time, and this is where you'll get it, is I turn on the heat.
Oh,
so if I get to the room at 5 a.m. and I turn on the heat.
So we're already walking into an oven.
You're walking into what most classes end at.
That's smart.
Right? Because the company would like me to be there 15 minutes before class.
Yeah.
If I went there based on that, the room would probably be 86 degrees at the start of class and maybe 95 degrees 40 minutes later.
Yeah.
So to me, based on, again, you pointed out that I do still practice, I know what really works for my mind and my body. And I don't try to say that that would work for everybody, but as a student and being a part of the community, it seems to be collectively what works for us. It challenges us, it gives us that push, it gets us to that place where we have to make a decision, do we keep going or do we take a break?
Yeah. It definitely maximizes the benefits because the more heated your body is, the more able you're...
The more flexibility you have, the more challenging it is for your mind and your body to stay in it.
Yep.
And ultimately, what we have to realize is it's not about doing everything that the instructor says every time. It's actually nothing about that, especially when you think about the classes that I teach. If it was Ashtanga, yes, it's a series that they do the same thing every single time.
Okay.
In flow, what do I say? First and foremost, do what works for you. Here's what I'm going to suggest.
Yeah.
Don't feel pressure to do what the person next to you is doing. I know I was talking a little bit about how I had people on Monday, down dog they weren't ready for down dog. And they felt as if they were in the wrong place.
Oh, wow.
And I could see it immediately. And I've been in places where I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So that's why I immediately went over to them. I let them know, listen, we have something called the observe asana. You lay down. You support your head with one hand. Halfway through, switch. Keep it balanced.
It's true.
Right? Because we have to do it. We have to do what works for us. And what I had said was, maybe this time you do this much of class. Next time you do that much of class.
Crawl before you walk,
Crawl before you walk, right? Ultimately, you have to say to yourself, why am I here in the first place?
Yeah.
And if that reason is important enough to you, stay.
Yeah.
Stay. If somebody told you to come, you might not be ready for it. When somebody told me to come, I wasn't ready for it, but when I got there, I was like, I can't believe that it took me this many years of my life to find something now that I look so forward to.
You know what I noticed about disciplines when it comes to different types of sports?
Yeah.
And I don't know if everybody agrees with this, but for me, when I first got into personal training and then got my first group exercise certification, it just kind of opened my mind and world into all these different disciplines. Yeah. And it made me always have the utmost respect across the board. It doesn't matter if it's yoga, if it's spin, if it's a kettlebell class, if it's, a Viper, if it's a core conditioning class. These classes wouldn't be offered if there wasn't something beneficial, to get out of it,
100%.
And I live by that. I think that all of the things that are offered at a gym are there because they can benefit you in some sort of way.
Yep. You just have to be ready and willing
to do
it,
exactly,
as well as to go through, because you're not going to go in and master it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you sort of have to have.
You have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable and embarrassed.
Yeah, that. Not a better way to say,
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to use that next week, that exact word, embarrassed, because that's something that we fear.
It's true.
There's nothing wrong with being embarrassed.
I'll tell you, on this Wednesday, I was feeling a little sluggish. Like, the last 2 weeks I have, it has nothing to do with, it probably has to do with just I have a lot of things that I'm working on right now, so it's taking away a little bit of the energy that I had reserved, But I did feel sluggish this week, but I was like, I need to keep going because I know everybody's watching and they're going to, depending on the person, for me, it's a good thing because something like that pushes me to sometimes when you feel like you don't have it or don't want to, and it felt good after class. So I'm glad that
So that's an important point because that is one way it could go, right? But if you were doing that, and your mind and your body kept saying, stop, stop.
Yeah.
And don't be embarrassed. Don't, like a lot of times because we end up being who we are and, you were talking about other people's perceptions, but very often we have perception of what other people perceive us to be.
Absolutely.
And we feel that we need to be that at all times. This morning I was in a yoga class and I did one round of Sun Sea. To be honest with you, last night I did a workout. I didn't have dinner. I went to sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night with a cramp in my leg. I probably should have sat yoga out. I probably should have.
Yeah.
Right? I went. I said, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. My body kept telling me, don't do it.
Really?
All of a sudden, second round of Sun Sea, I'm in child's pose. I'm in child's pose.
Yeah, you're like,
I wish I could share with the sweat because I see you looking at you, give me a look like you didn't keep going. No, I didn't keep going. I didn't keep going.
Yeah,
right? I stopped. And you know what? Can you imagine that the instructor says, today I'm going to do a Stoke like Sean, incredibly energized. And she had us hop to the top of the mat, run to the back of the mat 4 times. Then we did 4 jumping jacks. Then we did, and you have to be kind to me here. I'm not always good with the names of different things in fitness, but we were running and trying to touch this way and then touch that way. My heart rate was here. I have 2 people, one on each side, looking at me like they know that I could go longer than anybody else, but today I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I had to stop. I wrapped a big towel around people stopping what they're doing to look at me, but I was comfortable in my skin.
Yeah.
I went back to child's pose. Afterwards, people came up and said, what'd you do? Something must have.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's why what you're saying, 100%. If you're not feeling it, but you're capable, a class can get you to do it.
Yeah.
If you're not feeling and you're not capable, you're still in the right place to just do as much as you can do.
Yeah.
That's, I think, is the important point to know. That yes, you can, but once your mind and body says, listen, Daryl.
Yeah, right. You need to
already
relax.
said, isn't it real hot in here? There's no air.
Yeah.
Take a break.
Yeah.
Take a break. I'm also the guy, and I know that you see this too, I'll always say 10 breaths in chair. Are you folding before 10 breaths?
It's okay.
Are you folding before 10?
Am I folding? No.
I'm asking you.
No, I'm not folding.
You're not.
Yeah.
Neither am I. And do you know what I try to do every time that another instructor tells me? I fold right away because that makes me uncomfortable. Because I know that other people say, no, this guy's going to do more. But I don't have to show them what I think they want me to show them.
Do what's good for you.
I'm doing what's good for me at that time.
Yeah,
so I think it's really important to know that even though we do have these other perceptions of us, that even in yoga is a place where we can sort of tap into those a little bit. I don't want to say break them because I don't want you to say, we're not breaking perceptions in here.
No, but yeah, tap
people
into,
start to see
You're right.
you as other than just this incredible powerhouse that can do anything physically.
Yeah.
Right?
Or even thinking I can do anything physically because of my
physique.
Exactly. Yeah. Because that's not always
People
true.
Don't always think the same thing about me being able to do everything. I'm not sure why. This shirt is a little baggy. It's a little baggy over here.
So did you always teach heated yoga or was it regular at first?
Yeah, so you know what's so funny about that? So when I first started teaching yoga, the heat really messed with me. And I'm pretty sure you can see me at the end of the class. I'm not practicing. We're not supposed to practice. We can demonstrate, right? So if you're struggling, I got to show you a couple of postures in Sun Sea, then I move around to somebody else. Sure. But I'm not going through as many times as you. Very often I leave the room looking like you.
Yes.
Because I sweat profusely. So the heat has always messed with me, but it's messed with me in a way that makes me want more, not less.
That's good.
If that makes sense.
That's good.
Right? Some people are really turned off by the heat. I'm not turned off by it. I'm challenged by it. It's like another obstacle that I feel like I have to overcome,
I agree.
which makes me feel as if when I accomplish something, and plus you added the benefit of, we are able to get deeper into postures because of the heat. We are able to really have to find a way to focus on breathing.
Yes.
To be able to stay with the heat.
Yes.
So it's really expanding on who we can be, not changing who we are, but allowing us to grow.
Yeah.
So.
And not only that, these different climates are in the world in different places anyway.
That's 100% true, right?
So
you don't
it's
have
like
to go
going
to a
the
heated
desert.
class in India. You just
Exactly.
go to class.
And this is where they do it.
Yeah.
So if you think
100%.
about it, it's supposed to be like this.
Yeah, and to be honest, if you really think about it, when you look at those places in the world, you see the level of flexibility because they're in it all of the time, as well as just remaining in those postures.
Right.
I find myself at home, right now I'm in this comfortable chair, but I find myself at home aiming for the floor more often than not.
Yeah.
Because I know that if I want to be able to continue to get up off the ground, I probably shouldn't be sitting at tables and on chairs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep my body as flexible and mobile as possible.
So also, I noticed at the end of class, which I always like, that you always end the class with a quote.
Yep.
Why do you do this?
So again, this was a part of my training, and I mentioned that it's not just a workout, right? That is literally the way that I was taught. Not that you have to use quotes, but that classes are themed.
Yes.
People are coming to class certainly for postures, certainly for breath, but they're coming to really deepen their experience. So you have to try to go through different things that might be universal to all of us.
Yes.
And I find, especially from, I lean on my other job as an English teacher, but quotes are always a great way to just have people's minds open.
Yes.
Right? And you know how incredible
something else
it is?
to think about.
Yeah, like I like it when somebody comes up to me and says, "Can you send me that song you use for Sunsea?" But when somebody says, "Can you send me that quote that you used at the end of class because I want to bring it to my family, or I want to bring it to my job, or I want to bring it to my team?"
Yeah.
That is impact
Yeah.
right there. But I do it because, again, it's something that not only I was shown, but in the classes that I took, it landed on me in a way that I said, this is how it should
Felt
be
it
done.
resonated in the right way. Yeah.
Like I always try to say that my practice is really 4 different instructors, what I liked about them. So I got a little bit of this instructor, a little bit of that instructor, and I took all of those things that I thought worked, and I made it my practice.
I think this is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Especially starting off as a student.
Yes.
This is the best way because as a student and then turning into now an instructor, exactly, being the student, what people would be looking for.
Well, if you think about it, I was just talking to one of my colleagues. I didn't even realize, but his family was in McDonald's.
Okay.
If you own these, why am I losing the name right now? Not corporation, but it's a chain, right?
Yes, the chain.
To own one, you have to start at the bottom. You have to do every job before they'll even consider it.
Really?
Yeah. Because how are you going to possibly be able to know every facet if you haven't
Makes
done it?
sense.
Right? So
Makes
I
sense.
do think that probably helps me a lot, how much I'm still in classes, knowing how things that are said land on me, knowing how things that are done land on me, what really works, what doesn't work, what feels good in my body. And I just try to take as much of that, and it doesn't always work,
Yeah.
right? But I'm just putting together what I feel would be the best experience for the group.
Nice. Getting into the cycling, because I know you said you did. How long have you been an avid cyclist?
So it actually started from the job where I work. I work in a school for kids with physical disabilities, and I know you were talking about how honorable and noble it was before, but believe it or not, the one thing that's not so great about it is, since it's a smaller population, when we have difficulties with budgets and things of that nature, small numbers always take the hit.
Yeah.
Because if you
always,
think of
unfortunately.
politics, if you're going to have 1,000,000 people complaining or 1,000 people complaining for the same decision, you want to upset the 1,000 people, not the
Exactly.
1,000,000 people.
Yes.
But more often than not, that's where I work
Yeah.
with some of the most fragile kids in the state. So budget cuts hit my school so hard. One of my colleagues, incredible man, said, "You know what we're going to do? We're going to create a bike team, and we're going to ride our bikes to Montauk to raise money."
Oh, okay.
And this is probably going too far, but to go back to that time, I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, riding my bike to work so that I could afford the cigarettes that I was buying to get there. And he thought that I could do it because I was riding a bike. Long story short, this caused me to quit smoking cigarettes for over 10 years. I found a passion that I never gave up. My school raised, I think, over $250,000 over 5 years.
Wow.
To help offset those budget cuts to serve the kids with disabilities. But it really did so much more for me.
Okay.
Because the first year I did the 100 miles, I put the bike away till the next year. And then finally I decided, you know what? I'm not putting the bike away. And I kept going. And it really took us to fast forward where we are right now.
So this ride that you do to Montauk, has this turned into something annually?
So it was an annual thing for 5 years, and then it sort of died out. I think it was some of the people that were doing. I mean, the first year people were doing 100 miles, they did it. The next year, all of a sudden, they signed up for 50 miles, then 25 miles. They wanted to support the cause, but the ride is a lot.
The ride is a lot.
It is a lot. So you have to really be willing to commit the training time.
Is it a one-way ride?
It is a one-way ride.
That's good.
So yeah, typically you have somebody at the end with a nice car waiting for you, and at the end there's free massages, a shower, beer, pie, all sorts of food. So it's really an incredible event. It's not our event. It's basically a bike ride that many different charities use to raise money. But it's called the Ride to Montauk, and ultimately this year it's being brought back.
Nice.
When we did it in the past, one of my teammates is now the superintendent.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, you know what? I think we should bring it back. So in September, we will ride to Montauk.
That's awesome. And he actually rides as well.
Yes, he
so
does.
he will be a part of it.
He's another
which will get
avid
more
cyclist.
people.
Yep, for sure.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to it.
I've actually did something similar, the Pan Mass Challenge.
Yep.
But what I'll do is I'll have you back and we'll talk more about the cycling part.
That'd be great.
And thank you guys for watching. And be sure to subscribe. Till next time.
Whatever you do.